First contact. Commander Tarek stood before the vast observation deck of the Celestial Hammer, flagship of the Veldurian Empire's 7th Conquest Fleet. His slate-gray skin rippled with anticipation as he gazed at the holographic representation of the blue-green planet spinning slowly before him. Earth, a Class 4 developing world according to Veldurian classification. Primitive, but resource-rich. Initial assessment complete, Commander, reported Science Officer Nix, her 6-fingered hands manipulating the data streams that flowed around her. Indigenous species designated humans possess rudimentary atomic power and basic spaceflight capabilities. Their military technology is fragmented across national boundaries with no unified planetary defense. Tarek's vertical pupils narrowed as he studied the projected images of human civilization. Sprawling cities connected by primitive ground transportation networks. Atmospheric aircraft. A handful of orbital satellites. Nothing that could challenge Veldurian dominance. Threat assessment. Tarek asked, already knowing the answer. Negligible, Nix replied confidently. Their most advanced weapons systems would be ineffective against our shielding technology. Their information networks are easily compromised. Estimated resistance threshold. 4 planetary rotations before complete capitulation. Tarek's mouth curled into what passed for a smile among Veldurians. Prepare a standard subjugation protocol. No need to commit the entire fleet. 2nd Squadron should be sufficient. He turned to his executive officer. Inform the Imperial Council that Earth will be secured as our newest resource extraction colony within their standard week. Behind him, Junior Analyst Vila hesitated, her cranial ridges flushing with the neural indicators of uncertainty, a physiological response considered improper in Veldurian military culture. Commander, she ventured, with respect, there's an anomaly in the historical data pattern that. You have concerns, Analyst. Tarek interrupted, not bothering to hide his annoyance. Yes, sir. Unlike other species we've encountered, humans display unusual adaptive capabilities under threat conditions. Their historical conflicts suggest they show increased cooperation and technological advancement when facing existential danger. Tarek finished for her. I've read your preliminary report, Analyst Vila. It's speculative and based on insufficient data points. But, Commander, if we examine their response patterns to major crises throughout their recorded history, enough. Tarek's voice hardened. Your caution is noted but unnecessary. The Empire has conquered 37 worlds more advanced than this one. Prepare your station for the conquest phase. Vila's posture stiffened in formal acknowledgement, but the neural indicators on her cranial ridges continued to pulse with warning signals. The first Veldurian ships entered Earth's atmosphere 12 hours later. They positioned themselves above major population centers: New York, Beijing, Moscow, London, Tokyo. Their massive hulls hovering like obsidian clouds, casting literal and figurative shadows over humanity's greatest achievements. Dr. Maya Rice stood on the roof of Columbia University's astrophysics building, her heart pounding as she stared at the alien vessel suspended above Manhattan. The ship defied everything she understood about physics. It generated no heat signature, no detectable electromagnetic field, yet it remained perfectly stationary against Earth's atmospheric currents. Her phone vibrated with an incoming call from General Williams at the Pentagon. Please tell me you have something, Doctor. The general's voice was strained but controlled. They're using technology we can't even begin to comprehend, Maya replied, her eyes never leaving the ship. No visible propulsion system, no energy emissions we can detect with our instruments. It's like they're manipulating gravity itself. What about vulnerabilities? Maya laughed, a short, bitter sound. We can't identify their power source, their weapons capabilities, or even what they're made of. How can we talk about vulnerabilities? The general was silent for a moment. They've made contact. Simultaneous broadcast worldwide, in every language. They're calling themselves the Veldurian Empire. They've informed us that Earth has been selected for integration into their domain. Integration. That's a politicized term for conquest. Precisely. UN Security Council is convening an emergency session, but several countries are already discussing surrender terms. The Chinese have attempted to launch missiles at the ship over Beijing. The missiles disappeared before impact. Maya's scientific mind raced through possibilities. Teleportation, matter-energy conversion, advanced point defense, unknown. But it's confirmed they can neutralize our most sophisticated weapons without effort. Another pause. Dr. Rice, I'm authorizing the formation of a special scientific task force. We need options, however theoretical. Can I count on you? Before Maya could answer, the Veldurian ship above Manhattan emitted a pulse of blue light. Every electronic device in a 5-mile radius, including her phone, went dead. When communications were restored 3 hours later, the message from the Veldurians was clear. Resistance was not only futile but would be punished. As a demonstration, they had erased a small, uninhabited island in the Pacific from existence. Satellite imagery showed nothing but open ocean where the landmass had been. The governments of Earth did what governments always do in crisis. They argued, blamed each other, proposed appeasement, threatened retaliation, and ultimately failed to present a unified response. But something else was happening simultaneously, something the Veldurians had not anticipated in their conquest calculations. Humanity was connecting outside official channels. In underground bunkers, university laboratories, corporate research facilities, and military installations, humans were sharing information, pooling resources, and working together across previously insurmountable political and ideological divides. Maya found herself in a repurposed No-80 facility beneath Cheyenne Mountain, leading a team of scientists from 37 countries. Former competitors from rival defense contractors worked side by side. Theoretical physicists collaborated with practical engineers. Software developers partnered with materials scientists. They're jamming conventional communications networks, reported Raj Patel, formerly of India's Defense Research and Development Organization. But they're focusing on digital. Analog signals are still getting through. Then we go old school, said Colonel Sarah Chen of the U.S. Air Force. Shortwave radio, physical messengers, line-of-sight laser communication, whatever works. What about their technology? Maya asked. Have we captured anything we can analyze? A tired grin spread across the face of Dr. Ibrahim Ousmane, a Senegalese physicist. Better than that. When they neutralized the Chinese missiles, we detected a unique energy signature. It seems their defensive systems create a localized disruption in what we might call quantum coherence. In English, Dr. Colonel Chen prompted. They don't destroy incoming projectiles. They shift them slightly out of phase with our reality. Costs them less energy than physical destruction. And how does that help us? Because, Maya said, understanding dawning. If they're manipulating quantum fields, they're vulnerable to quantum uncertainty principles. Their technology might be incredibly advanced, but it still has to obey the fundamental laws of physics. Exactly. Ibrahim nodded enthusiastically. And we've been working on quantum field manipulation ourselves, just at a much more primitive level. The CERN experiments, Maya murmured. The quantum entanglement communication tests. Precisely. We might not be able to match their technology, but we understand the principles. And with understanding comes the possibility of disruption. For the first time since the ships appeared, Maya felt a flicker of hope. On the 7th day of the invasion, Veldurian ground forces deployed outside major cities. Their combat units were impressive. Armored exoskeletons housing soldiers with superior strength and reflexes, armed with energy weapons that could disintegrate targets at molecular levels. Commander Tarek watched the deployment from orbit, satisfied with the precision of the operation. The humans had offered sporadic resistance, mostly ineffective missile strikes and air attacks that his forces neutralized with minimal effort. Begin the resource assessment phase, he ordered. I want cataloging of all valuable minerals, biological specimens, and potential slave labor populations. Commander, Executive Officer Lear's voice held an unusual note of concern. We're detecting anomalous communication patterns among the humans. They appear to be coordinating despite our network disruption efforts. Impossible, Tarek dismissed. Their global information infrastructure has been compromised. Nevertheless, sir, resistance cells are demonstrating unexpected tactical coordination. Our ground forces outside what they call Geneva encountered an ambush that suggests foreknowledge of our patrol routes. Tarek's expression darkened. Increase jamming spectrum coverage. Deploy signal interceptors to. An alarm cut him off. The holographic display showed a Veldurian scout ship plummeting from the sky, trailing smoke. Report, Tarek demanded. Scout vessel 712 is down, sir, Lear responded, incredulity in his voice. Humans deployed some kind of modified electromagnetic pulse. It penetrated our shields as if they weren't there. That's technologically impossible for their development level, Tarek growled. Junior analyst Vila stepped forward, her cranial ridges pulsing with confirmed predictions. Sir, they've adapted our own technology against us. The crashed scout from 3 days ago, they've reverse-engineered components and combined them with their own technology. In 3 days, Tarek's disbelief was palpable. As I attempted to explain before the mission, sir, humans display unprecedented adaptation rates under threat conditions. Their historical pattern shows exponential innovation during crisis. Tarek stared at the expanding pattern of resistance showing on the tactical display. Small victories, strategic retreats, guerrilla tactics. Humans weren't fighting like a species facing superior technology. They were fighting like they believed they could win. Accelerate the conquest timetable, he ordered. Deploy the main force. I want this planet secured before these primitives develop any more surprises. But the surprises had only begun. Turning the tide. Specialist Krav died screaming as the modified human weapon discharged, sending waves of destabilizing energy through his neural armor. 3 more Veldurian soldiers fell before the remaining squad members retreated, their movements jerky with fear, an emotion most had never experienced before this campaign. Commander Tarek watched the helmet recording with growing unease. 8 weeks into what should have been a 4-day subjugation, and his forces were losing ground. Explain this, he demanded, gesturing at the tactical display where red indicators, Veldurian losses, spread like a disease across all theaters of operation. Science Officer Nix's usual confidence had evaporated. The humans have developed weapons that target specific vulnerabilities in our technology. This particular device exploits the quantum field modulation our neural armor uses to enhance soldier capabilities. How could they possibly understand that technology, let alone counter it so quickly? They're learning, sir, not just from captured equipment, but from observing our tactics, our technology in use. And they're sharing that knowledge globally. Junior Analyst Vila, now promoted to Senior Intelligence Coordinator after her initial warnings proved prophetic, brought up a new data visualization. This represents human innovation rates pre-invasion. She indicated a gradually rising line. And this, she continued, displaying a line that shot nearly vertical, is their innovation rate now. They've compressed what would normally be 50 years of technological advancement into weeks. Impossible, Tarek whispered, but without conviction. There's more, Vila continued. They're exploiting biological weaknesses we didn't consider significant. Our troops require more hydration than humans in Earth's gravity. Our visual spectrum doesn't perceive certain wavelengths they're now using for communication. Our neural chemistry is more vulnerable to sleep deprivation than theirs. Executive Officer Lear entered the command center, his normally immaculate uniform showing signs of hasty repair. Sir, we've lost contact with our ground forces in the region they call Australia. All of them. Tarek's voice rose in disbelief. Yes, Commander. The humans deployed some kind of sonic weapon that targets the resonant frequency of our neural implants. The troops experienced psychological breakdown before we lost communication. In her laboratory beneath the Alps, Dr. Maya Reyes examined the captured Veldurian neural implant under a quantum microscope. The device was a marvel of engineering. Organic computational substrate interfaced with synthetic neural pathways, allowing for enhanced cognitive processing and direct neural links between soldiers. "It's beautiful," she murmured, "and terribly vulnerable." Colonel Chen, now General Chen of the Unified Earth Defense Forces, nodded grimly. Their entire military infrastructure relies on networked consciousness. Every soldier linked to every other soldier, sharing tactical data in real time. Efficient but risky, Maya agreed. Networks can be hacked, and this particular network architecture never anticipated a species that specializes in asymmetric warfare. The door opened, admitting Dr. Ibrahim and a team of engineers. "Phase disruptors are deployed in all major conflict zones," he reported. "The Veldurians can't use their matter-phasing defense systems without risk of feedback loops that disable their own ships." "And the quantum entanglement communicators?" Chen asked. "Operational. We can coordinate globally without using any electromagnetic transmission the Veldurians can detect." Maya smiled for the first time in weeks. "Now for the next phase. If their neural network is as vulnerable as I think it is, we can do more than just disrupt their communication. We can feed them false information." Aboard the Celestial Hammer, Commander Tarek faced the holographic projection of the Imperial console with dread. 3 months into the campaign, and not only had Earth not been secured, but Veldurian forces were in retreat worldwide. "Your failure is unprecedented, Commander Tarek." The consul's voice was cold. "No species at this development stage has ever repelled Imperial forces. The humans are different, Excellency." Tarek struggled to explain. "They don't react according to established psychological models. When we destroy their cities, they fight from the rubble. When we target their leaders, we've also deployed an early warning system using adapted Veldurian quantum entanglement technology," General Chen added. "We'll have advance notice of any approach." "And when they do return?" asked the representative from Brazil. Maya smiled. "Then they'll find a very different Earth waiting for them. We're not just adapting their technology. We're improving it. The Veldurians stagnated because they believed they'd reached the pinnacle of development. We know better. There's always more to learn, more to discover, and more to explore," added Ibrahim, now heading Earth's first faster-than-light propulsion research division. "The Veldurian star charts have given us a map of nearby inhabited systems. Some are part of their empire, but others appear to be independent civilizations, potential allies." As the meeting concluded, Maya stepped out onto the balcony overlooking Lake Geneva. The sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and purple, a beautiful reminder of the world they had fought to protect. But her eyes were drawn upward, to the stars just beginning to appear in the darkening sky. The Veldurians had come to Earth expecting to find primitives. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. Humanity's boundless capacity for innovation when threatened, for cooperation when faced with extinction. They had misjudged Earth, and in doing so, they had unwittingly launched humanity into the stars decades, perhaps centuries ahead of schedule. Maya smiled at the irony. The empire that had come to conquer had instead created its future greatest rival, perhaps even its successor. Or, she thought with sudden insight, perhaps its redeemer. For when humanity eventually reached the stars in force, they would carry with them a lesson the Veldurians had never learned. True strength comes not from domination, but from diversity, adaptation, and the extraordinary power of cooperation in the face of overwhelming odds. The miscalculation that had cost the Veldurians this world might, in time, transform their empire into something better than conquest. It was, Maya thought, a fitting legacy for humanity's first step into the cosmic community.